Hey, this is Carrie Med, Superintendent of Schools, reaching out to community members, staff members, and families regarding the budget we've got coming to voters in the next couple weeks for FY27. Whenever I provide this information, I want to just make sure that before we start talking about the numbers for next year, where we stood for the previous year. So this slide just gives you some context of where we are in terms of the neighboring districts and what they're spending per pupil. You can see the state average is 21,700. We're spending 18,816, which is pretty much in line with what those communities around us are spending. Unlike a lot of school districts, we're doing well in terms of enrollment. You can see that we've grown quite a bit since 2017. This year we're at 2023, which is a good sign for our schools and the health and well-being of our communities. And then we continue to have sort of a larger than usual group of beginning teachers with less than 3 years of experience. It's just helpful to know that in terms of how much work and effort we put in to make sure those teachers are able to do a good job and provide a solid, really excellent education to all of our children. So just a quick overview. This year's budget increase is 4.86% over FY26. The full budget amount is $39,181,450. Some good news is we did get an increase in state subsidy of just over $1 million, but we also had some challenges with this budget, like we do every year. Every year is a challenge. Staff health insurance increases went up by 11.43%, which resulted in almost $700,000 being added to the budget. Last year, that increase was 12.9%. So we have gone down a little bit, but it's still a significant increase. The other challenge we faced is the law changed. A law changed in terms of how adult ed was subsidized. And in the end, the result was that we lost $590,000 in subsidy from the state because of this funding law. So those were challenges right off the bat that we faced in building this budget. So we made some changes due to enrollment and student needs. So I'll just go through the schools so you can see things that may have changed. Some schools, there's no change at all. So at Green, we, due to class size, have eliminated a sixth grade teacher position, but we have increased needs of students who require special education. So we're shifting that sixth grade teacher to a special education teacher. We also have been paying for contracted special ed teacher for the last couple of years, and we're now ready to pull that position into the budget as our own. So both of these are cost neutral. Their positions shifting or amount of money that we're spending is just shifting from one part of the budget to another. We are adding one position at Green, and that is an Ed Tech 2 in special education. At Turner Primary School, due to class size, we are eliminating a grade 2 teacher. We're also going to eliminate an intervention Ed Tech 3 that is currently open. Those two positions together, we're going to create an intervention teacher. This is a savings of $20,000. And really the goal here is to provide consistent services to all students. This is not a special ed position. This is a position that would serve all students to make sure that their math and reading skills are as developed as possible at these early ages. Turner Primary has had difficulty keeping these intervention ed tech positions filled. And so we are hopeful that by having it as a teacher position, it will be more consistent and a system for providing interventions will be developed. At Turner Elementary, we are adding a special education teacher and 3 Ed Tech 3 positions. This is directly related to student needs, some new students that we have in the district, as well as just the general special ed population at Turner Elementary. At Leeds, during this school year, the board added a special education nurse to support the needs of a new student. That position will continue in this coming year's budget. In special education, because we have hard time hiring a speech pathologist, our speech contract line is going up. If we are able to hire a special ed pathologist or a speech pathologist, which is cheaper than a contract, we would spend less money in the contract. So send us any speech pathologist you know, send them our way because we're looking to hire. At the high school, So the high school has a retirement in the tech ed teacher. That is a difficult position to fill these days in all schools because it's hard to get, you can't get certified in the state of Maine anymore in that position. So we're actually going to reallocate that to a contracted position with LRTC. So we'll have this teacher at Levitt Area High School, but they'll be able to get a CTE certificate, which is a much different pathway for doing so and allows those teachers to lean and count on all of their experience in the world as either contractors, builders, carpenters, whatever they may have done, that can help them get their certification. And because the high school is going to be over 600 students next year, they are adding 2 teachers, a science teacher and a social studies teacher. For transportation, we are increasing the contracted transportation costs. This is just sort of nod to the reality that not being able to hire enough drivers means that we're having to contract those out for a bus route and special ed out of district placements. Some of that, we've eliminated 2 bus driver positions, so that partially offsets the contracted amount. Certainly, if we're able to hire a bus driver, that's much cheaper than contracting. We wouldn't spend that money in the contracted services. So we're still looking for bus drivers. Anybody interested, send them our way. And the wastewater treatment plant is completed, if not now, in the next couple of days. And so the first payment on that is due in this budget. The board has made strategic use of the fund balance to take care of a lot of maintenance issues. An example of that is we needed an additional $400,000 to complete the wastewater treatment plant. And so we used the fund balance for that. It means we did not have to go out for another loan, did not have to add that to the budget. This year, $390,000 worth of minor capital repair that was originally in the budget, we've been able to move it out and complete those projects using the reserve fund for facilities. A couple of examples are the water tank replacement project at TPS that began last summer and that will be completed this summer. There's some fencing needs at Green Central School for safety, door repair at the middle school and the high school, and then at the high school, the auditorium lights need repair as well as the fire sprinkler system. Finally, we are adding a fund balance, a reserve account for the purposes of purchasing land. We are looking at about 18 acres of land right across the street from Turner Primary School and Jimmy's General Store. And our goal for that land is field space for athletics, as well as a space for transportation department to move from the high school. There's increases in other instruction. This is where athletics lives in the budget. So I'll provide you a couple of details. We have so many kids participating in track and football that we need additional coaches to supervise. We're bringing on the lacrosse program fully into the budget next year, so that adds some additional funds. The athletic trainer who serves all the students in all the games has a cart to help lug around their equipment as well as provide transportation for students who may be injured at a game. The cart they have is officially dead. So it's time to purchase a new one. The middle school has so many boys wanting to play basketball that we're adding an expansion team. The middle school also needs a unified coordinator. The big increase in this area is around transportation costs for athletics. This is where we spend most of our money transporting students on contracted bus rides. This has been, we've been over on this budget line for the last couple of years, so we felt it was time to correct that and budget appropriately. Again, if we find bus drivers, we won't need to spend those contracted service amounts. And then we have a robotics team at the high school and middle school that has not received a stipend in the past. The teachers who work there, who work on that, don't receive any pay, so we're adding that to the budget. A couple other additional costs. We're continuing to implement new math instructional materials this year in the K-2 grades at a cost of $33,000. We pay a share of LRTC that began last year. That increased this year by $5,000. And we had to increase the amount we've been paying for the Maine paid family leave payroll tax. Teachers were now brought on board for paying that, so that increased the budget by $48,000. So we've reduced some positions as well to try to keep the budget in manageable and to respond to concerns that both the board has as well as we know the community does. So we've moved one full instructional coach and part of another instructional coach into the Title I funding and out of the budget. We eliminated 2 ed techs in Title I to help us do that. Those intervention ed techs are at Green and Leeds. They still have intervention ed techs there in those schools, just not as many. We eliminated a district-wide custodian position that was open and an intervention ed tech 2 at TES that was also open. They still have ed techs to do interventions. So that reduction was $235,563. So the proposed budget, and it looks like my face is over the final number, 4.86% increase. The biggest increases that we saw are always in special ed, this 13,000 in other instruction. While it's a big number, it's $106,000 versus the special ed number. But maintenance is actually down because we used the fund balance as much as we did. This gives you some context of where this budget money is going. Everything in green in this pie chart is in schools. So it's regular instruction where classroom teachers live and materials, special education, CTE, students going to LRTC, other instruction, extracurricular, co-curricular activities for kids, student and staff support where nurses and school counselors are budgeted, and school administration where principals and the secretaries live. Everything else in orange is support for that. So over 75% of our budget is going directly into schools. But you can see the superintendent's office and business office is a piece of that, transportation and facilities and adult ed. So you can see increases in each town is really based on the property valuation based on the state. So we don't determine that number, the state does. Green had the highest increase in valuation this year. So the increase to each town looks different. In Green this year, that increase is 6.87. In Leeds, it's 5.03. And in Turner, it's 2.48. That averages to 4.4%. My face is covering that number, but that's what that number is. So we really encourage you to check out the budget website. When you go to the homepage of the district website, you'll see the budget information drop-down menu there. You click to that, you can see all the detail. 2 important dates. Thursday, May 7th is the district budget meeting. That is at 6 o'clock at the high school auditorium. And because school budgets need to be approved twice, we will then vote again at the budget validation referendum on Thursday, May 22nd. There will be 2 ballots at the May 22nd vote. First will be on the budget. The second will be on the land purchase, the 18 acres that the board is seeking to purchase for athletics and transportation. And the referendum takes place between 1 and 7 at the town offices. Thank you. I hope this has been useful, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.